just getting set up here on Facebook and IG.
Yep.
And we are live on Facebook. Great. And I'm just going to turn this camera around and get everything set up here so we can see this amazing guy's face. Hi, Ria. How are you? All right, guys. So today is Thursday, the 21st of May. I always have to say the date because I lose track of time. This is Q&A with Dr. D. My name is Danelle Dixon, Performance Plus Physical Therapy, and I have the amazing David Bayliff here. Guys, this is a very special friend. He is in my business networking group and mentoring group. He's an amazing friend, and I'm so happy to have him here with me today. Hi, David. How are you?
Hey, it's so good to see you, man. I tell you, you just get prettier every day. How do you do it?
Oh, you're too sweet. You're too sweet. I'm just gonna blame that on water and sleep. That's all I got.
All right.
Awesome.
So thank you for having me on your show today. I'm excited.
Of course. I'm so glad that you can join. So for guys that may not know you guys, David, I'll let you introduce yourself. How about you introduce yourself? Tell us where you work, who you work with, and how do you help physical therapists? How do you help general population people? Tell us what you do.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, again, thank you, Dee. I'm David Bayliff. It says it right there on the screen. You can read that. Come on, you guys, you have doctorate physical therapy degrees. You can read. Hey, I've been a therapist now for 26 years. If you notice, Dee didn't call me Dr. Dave because I'm not a doctor, because I went to school so long ago. I didn't have doctorate degrees. That's why I'm not a doctor, but that's okay. But I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I see a lot of clients. Most of my clients are in North Scottsdale. There's another community right next to it called Paradise Valley. I see clients in Paradise Valley, North Scottsdale. I've been doing this for 26 years, but for the past 7 years, I've had my own practice where I provide mobile concierge services to my clients. I take the actual clinic to the client and work with them in the privacy of their home. And that's just really getting into mobile, something that kind of fell into my lap 7 years ago, actually about 8.5 years ago. It started as a side hustle, but yeah, I go to my clients, work with them. I love it. A couple of types of clients that I like to try to target, and I think this is one reason why Dee had me on, is I like to work with golfers. And my background, I grew up playing competitive tennis. So I was really excited when Dee was talking about the tennis elbow the other day, which ironically, as we continue with the conversation, Dee, there's gonna be a lot of similarities of what you are sharing with the tennis elbow and the golfer's elbow. So I'm excited for that. But I of course, like a lot of you who are professionals, you maybe treat a variety of things, but you have that niche that you speak to. And I like to try to speak to the golfers and the tennisers, as I like to describe them. And as Dee mentioned, also, I kind of have two full-time jobs right now. I work with clients, and then I also work with therapists who are looking to break free of corporate healthcare, the establishment, and gain practice freedom. So that those are two things that I have going on right now. But I still enjoy working with the individuals to bring the playground back into their lives. That's what I like to say. Bring the playground back into their lives.
Yes. Oh my God, y'all. This guy's a powerhouse. So for the therapists that are listening, follow this guy. He has so much to offer. Amazing personality, so much knowledge, so much stuff that he can bring to you. Just make sure you just type in his name in Facebook, click the follow button. You do it now so you don't forget. Do it now. Okay, good. We're moving on. All right. So thank you for introducing yourself, David. And we're just going to go straight into it. So today, guys, we're talking about golfer's elbows. So why do I have pain on the inside of my elbow? So describe a little bit about golfer's elbow for us, David. What is it for those guys who don't know what it is? What is it? What does it look like? How do we know that we have golfer's elbow?
Yep, that's a great question. And well, first of all, what is golfer's elbow? Well, golfer's elbow is basically pain on the inside portion of your elbow. And I noticed in watching your show the other day, someone had mentioned you were talking about tennis elbow. Mm-hmm. And so if I have pain on the inside of my elbow, I think I have golfer's elbow. And that's exactly right. Mm-hmm. And Dee, interestingly enough, if we could go back to your talk the other day, tennis elbow, like I said, typically is the outside of the elbow, and golfer's elbow is typically the inside of the elbow. Well, tennis players, tennis elbow can be on the outside. It can be in the back. It can be on the inside. But
Right.
typically, if it's on the outside, we call it tennis elbow. If it's on the inside, we call it golfer's elbow. And that's where we've got a ligament right here that can get tweaked. It can get inflamed. We've got a lot of muscles in our forearm. See me, a lot of muscles in our forearm right here that come up and actually attach right up in this area here. So what happens is these muscles can get strained, and so the point of least resistance or whatever, all that stress is going to go right to where everything is attached. Now, we can get into, well, how if you're a golfer, how does golfer's elbow start? Why is it? But anyway, basically to answer the question, what is golfer's elbow? This is pain just right here on the inside of that elbow there.
Got it. And what is it specific about golfers that makes the pain manifest itself on the inside of the elbow? What's specific or different from golfers versus tennis elbow that it develops on the inside and on the outside?
Yep. The primary difference for the golfer versus the tenniser, and I made up that word tenniser because I like to make up words. Imagine that if you are playing golf right-handed, okay, that means that as you come down and make contact with the ball, that means that my right arm is going to be my trailing arm, they call it, okay? And as I make contact, depending on a number of factors, my grip, how strong I'm holding that club head, some limitations elsewhere throughout my body, but as I make contact, coming down with the ball, all the force of making the contact, especially if I happen to like chunk some dirt, all right, that's not going to feel too good, taking a piece of real estate with you, all the contact force is going to translate and go right there. So, and because of, again, the fact that we're gripping the muscles that are gripping are in our forearm, and they all attach right there. So that's why, boom, right there is where our pain ends up as it relates to the golfer. All right.
Awesome. And as I said before in some of my talks earlier this week, I call the elbow the middle child. It's a child that kind of, like whatever happens on the top of the shoulder or the bottom in terms of the wrist, in terms of mechanics, if there's any issues on either side, the elbow is the one that usually gets caught in the middle of everything.
The elbow is the knee of the arm.
Exactly, the knee of the arm. Exactly.
I'm glad you said that, Dee, because or that you brought that up, and this might have been one of your questions down the road. I don't know, but when in treating golfer's elbow, if it's truly like golfer's elbow, a golfer, yes, the pain might be at the elbow, but so often that's not the problem. As you alluded to, the problem might be up at the shoulder. There's some tightness in the shoulder that's not allowing the golfer to move the way they need to move. It could be something with the wrist. It could be something with the back or the hips where it's affecting how the person is swinging the club that's making them have what we call a faulty swing characteristic where they end up having all the impact being taken at the elbow. But the problem, is not the elbow usually. The problem is somewhere else, but the elbow is taking the brunt of the things, of the beating.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could even be the equipment. The person could be using the club that are too stiff for them.
Yeah.
Or that they, the worst piece of advice ever given to like golfers and tennisers was the phrase "grip it and rip it." That's the worst thing for them. Sometimes is they're just squeezing it too tight. They make contact because they're squeezing so tight. All that impact force goes right there. And we see the same thing with tennis players. And I've worked with both and with the tennis players. And first question I ask them is, do you grip the racket to death? And they say, well, yeah, aren't you supposed to? No, don't. And as soon as I get them to even just relax their grip, they hit a ball and they're like, oh my God, that didn't hurt. So a lot of times for tennis elbow, for golfer's elbow, it's so great that this is in the same week, is that the treatment a lot of times is like I tell the tenniser or the golfer, it's like, look, I'm going to make your symptoms feel better, but your elbow is not the problem. We need to look elsewhere in the body, number one. Number two, we need to see what you're doing like out on the golf course or out on the tennis court, because that is what's causing your problem. You need to fix your golf game, or you need to fix your tennis game in order to resolve your elbow.
Yeah. And guys, this is so interesting and so important to note, because A lot of times we think of rehab as they're just going to fix the pain and then I'm going to go back. Guys, 90% of the time that you end up in rehab, it's because there's something going on in your daily activities that you have not addressed that's now reached a tipping point that you have to address before you move forward. So when you are looking for a physical therapist, it's so key and it's so important to get that specialty like David that's going to allow that person to really examine the cause of the problem so you don't have this recurring issue going back. Guys, we can do magic. Like our skill set is not pain control. You can get over the counter pain pills in the pharmacy right now without seeing a physical therapist, getting a prescription, going to a doctor. It's not about pain. It's about getting to the bottom of the problem. What is the cause of your pain? And the person to best address that is going to be a specialist that's going to look at you from a complete standpoint versus just saying, oh, well, let's do just this massage for your pain. Okay, that's so key. Just wanted to put that plug in there. All right. So David, when it comes to golfer's elbow, what do you think is the best approach? What's the best approach to solve it from a rehab standpoint?
Yeah, great question. First of all, you already alluded to a big part of it is to consult with someone who knows what they're looking for, knows what they're talking about, knows and recognizes that oftentimes, like what you said earlier, that the elbow is the problem child. And we said it's kind of like the elbow is the knee of the arm. That so often, because it's in the middle, it's just taking a beating. Very, very, very rarely is the cause at the elbow. So you want to, in treating it, you want to make sure that you're working with someone who is astute enough to say, you know what, let's look at your wrist. Okay, good. Let's look at your shoulder. Let's look at the middle of your back. Let's look at your hips. And you say, well, why are you looking at my hips? Because it's my elbow. But then when you can have that person be able to explain, here's why I'm looking at your hips and how that's affecting your elbow. That's what you want. You want someone that is an investigator. Okay, they go out there and they're really hunting for something specific. They're not just your elbow hurts. Okay, good. There we go. There we took care of your tennis, your golfer's elbow, or wherever your pain may be. That's an investigator.
Yeah,
they're not okay with, well, if your pain is here, that's where it is. All right. So,
I love that idea. But go ahead.
No. And then the next thing is like what I mentioned is that, if you're a golfer and you've got golfer's elbow, honestly, to treat it, if you aren't taking golf lessons, go take golf lessons. And if you're a tennis player, if you've got true tennis elbow and you've got tennis elbow pain, go take a tennis lesson with a tennis instructor who understands more about like how the body should move. Because I speak from experience that as soon as you correct your tennis game, or as soon as you correct that faulty mechanic in your golf swing, whatever is causing it, your elbow pain is going to automatically, like that, improve significantly. So those are the two biggest tips. And then look for ways to just pain management of the symptoms. Okay. Oftentimes it's engaging the muscles, actually. Okay. Getting to work a little bit. We think that's counterintuitive. Well, I'm in pain, I shouldn't exercise them. Actually, exercise is the best medicine for pain. Get them to move properly. And then you can do some things for, to control inflammations there and whatnot. But actually movement is one of the best things.
I love that. And so I got to go back a little bit, guys, find an investigator. I say this so many times. It is so important to get a clinician that is skilled in differential diagnosis. That's the big word, the big medical jargon of saying an investigator. Where's your pain coming from? Okay, guys, the body is built with redundancies. We are designed to have redundancies in our movement patterns over and over again. There are 5 different ways that you can swing a golf club, correct? There are 5 different ways that you can swing a tennis racket. If you're not swinging it the correct way, there's going to be a consequence of pain building up in one place versus another. So for those guys that are really interested, and I think honestly this advice applies across the board for any sport, even with my dancers, there's a significant amount of people that have problems because their technique is faulty. That's why they're in pain. So guys, make sure that you go back to the beginning. Start from the beginning and go through every single metric and figure out where you're getting that pain from It can be from your technique. It can be from your golf swing. All right. I really, really love that. In terms of how can physical therapy really help with symptoms of a golfer's elbow? Like what tools do we have that can really help patients with golfer's elbow?
Yeah, if we're talking about tools now it's kind of like, all right, I want, I don't know, I want my kitchen remodeled.
Mm-hmm.
So what tools are you going to use to remodel my kitchen? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to use some hammers and some nails and some screwdrivers, a jackhammer or something like that, a crowbar to get things down? What tools are you going to use? So some very effective things can be something like dry needling is very good. The technique that's called maybe called A-stem, Graston, scraping, whatever you want to call it. Those are some very good techniques. I imagine that something like tennis elbow would probably be a good place, maybe where blood flow restriction technique might be good. But various manual type skills, massage type skills, cross friction massage, things like that would be very good for treating the elbow. And again, for yourself, if you want to self treat, start actually engaging those muscles. And when I say engaging, meaning get the muscles to move. Okay. Get them to move. That's actually going to help to flush that inflammation out of there that's building up, that is creating the pain. But those are some of the tools and techniques that we would do in physical therapy.
Awesome. And do you think that surgery is an option for treating golfer's elbow, or have you seen surgical cases?
I haven't. Doesn't mean that they don't exist, but I haven't. Is it an option? I think it's an option only if we find that, number one, all of the non-surgical methods aren't working, and we find that the reason that they aren't working is that if, for example, kind of like in the shoulder, you could have a rotator cuff tear that can improve, but if that tear is being aggravated by a bone spur, that every time you move, no matter what you do, every time you move, that spur is like a rake just going through the muscle. If you happen to have something like that in your elbow, where every time you engage that area, maybe there's a bone spur or some other type of physical specimen that's in there that's affecting the ligament or affecting the muscle every time it moves, well, it might need to be removed in order for that provocating thing to go away. So in that instance, then yes, that's where we would maybe consider surgery, but definitely all the other options first.
Got it. Awesome. Okay, so what are your top 3 things that a patient can do to prevent golfer's elbow? And I think you went through this already to some extent, but what if we had to identify 3 things? What are top 3 things that patients can identify to prevent it?
And well, again, I think number one is that if first of all, if we are talking about, like, say, to the golfer with golfer's elbow, number one is really take a look at your equipment, your clubs that you're using. Are they properly fitted for you? Are they the right length? If they're not the right length, that's going to affect how you're moving. Okay, and that can affect the impact that you're going through, and it can affect your swing, which is going to affect your elbow. All right. The makeup of them, okay. If they are too stiff for you, or if they're too light for you, or too heavy for you, that could have an impact. So take a look at your equipment first, and have a golf fitting specialist look at that with you. That would be recommendation number one. Number two is again, take a lesson, take a golf lesson. You may be making impact with the ball not in the right spot. You might be moving in a certain way that is causing your elbow to take extra, stress.
Yeah.
Get looked at by a physical therapist, someone like Dee, where she can look at your whole body and see how it's moving, because you may be restricted in motion somewhere that maybe you're not aware of, but it truly is, the whole body, like Dee said, is a machine. It works together, and it has to work together in sync in order for a beautiful Beethoven piece to be played. Otherwise, we got the 6th grade middle school band, and whatnot. We don't want that. We want this beautiful melody to be played. So The trombone section, if they're off, well, then that makes the clarinet sections not sound so good. So if your hips aren't right, if your back doesn't have the bendiness that it should, your elbow could be taking the brunt of it, or your shoulder, back of the shoulder, it could lead to your elbow taking a brunt of it. So do that. Now, what can you do on your own without going through all those other steps? Number one is that, start into, first of all, maybe a stretching program, not just of your elbow, but of your shoulder, of your back, of your hips. Start into a nice stretching program. Do some anti-inflammatory control measures for your elbow, be it icing, Advil, Tylenol, as long as you don't have anything wrong with your gut or anything else going on that those, counter things would be contraindicated to you taking them. But you can do that for a few days just to kind of help, knock down the inflammation. You can do some gentle stretching that I know, Dee can show you of ways to stretch that elbow again. But stretching, sometimes people fall into the fallacy of, well, I just need to stretch. And all they do is stretch to correct something. But oftentimes, like I said, we actually need to engage. Even if it feels tight, oftentimes we need to actually engage those muscles. So, some simple exercises, a little bit of icing if you need to, or heat. My thought on that is that, everybody's different. For some people, ice works for them. For others, heat works for them. So I say, if you're going to use something, use what works for you, what feels good to you.
Yeah, so important. And that's so interesting to talk about, guys, because it's really hard, I think, to hear from a medical professional to someone who's very skilled or has put a lot of time into their sport that, hey, maybe you need to go back to the beginning. Maybe you need to look at your technique. It's really hard. And even for my dancers, when I work with my dancers and I'm like, that releve looks weird, like you need to change your weight shift, you're not doing what you needs to be done. And that may be causing your ankle pain, going up to the hip, et cetera, et cetera. How do we motivate patients who may have really put a lot of time, it's hard to sell to a 20-year-old golfer that their technique is off. You know what I mean? So how do you motivate those guys?
It's, it can be challenging, especially at that age, ego reigns, man. But, one is that is a good explanation to them of like, look, here's what's going on. Here is why golfer's elbow occurs. Plain and simple. I know that you are proud of your golf game, but here is what is usually the cause. And like I tell them, say it's usually one of three things. It's either the tools that you're using, your equipment is too stiff for you. There's a hitch in your giddy up somewhere. Okay, there's a hitch in your swing somewhere. You may not know it, but there's a hitch in your swing somewhere, and or a combination of the two. Right. And I'm just being Will 100 with you. And I tell them, say, look, I can treat your elbow and I can make your elbow feel better, but your elbow is not the cause, because like what you said earlier, Dee, the elbow, is kind of, is the problem child, or, receives the brunt of everything. And that's what I explained to them. Say, look, we're going to make it feel good, but we're going to investigate some other things and find out where you might be restricted. And then we really need to take a look at your golf swing and see what's going on. And when you can get them to say, okay, let's do that. And then they have somebody work with them and they point out a faulty swing thing and get them to correct it. The first time that they go through a swing and they're like, oh my God.
Yes.
Now they're sold. Okay. Yeah. I've done that with people where, I've said, here's what I need you to try. And I just tell them, I say, look, just humor me here. All right. It might feel awkward. It might feel weird. And you may hit the ball like crap, but just humor me. Let's try this one time. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they go through the swing and they do it. And like, I don't even have to see what the ball does. I said, I bet that felt pretty good, didn't it?
Right.
Oh my God. Like, that's like the strongest I've ever hit the ball, and it didn't even hurt.
Yeah, and the proof is
when they experience that, oh man, that's like melted butter on a biscuit right there, man. It's
awesome. Hi. Some people joining us here. So, one question for you: for the guys that are on the call that are not golfers, does golfer's elbow occur in people who do not play golf?
Absolutely, absolutely, and a lot of that. And I'm so glad that I had the good fortune to catch your episode on Tuesday. We were talking about the tennis elbow, and I noticed you were talking about, like, positioning of desk and typing and stuff. Same thing with the golfer's elbow. You could be doing things in your daily routine that you're just creating. You're maybe overworking the forearm muscles, or working in an awkward position that's just creating some stress right there at the inside of the elbow. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, this was great, David. This was such valuable information for the guys that are on. If you're a golfer, you know this is amazing information. For those that are not golfers, the takeaway from this that you really want to pay attention to is understanding the mechanics of how we move around in life. That's what PTs are. We are body mechanics. We look at movement and we look at people and observe motion every day. So really make sure that when you're looking for a clinician, that you're looking for someone who is an investigator, just like David said. That's so key to get to the bottom of your symptoms, but also to make sure that you're getting all the way through your rehab. It is no sense in feeling good for 5 days and then feeling like crap for the next 15. You know what I mean? Like, we are excited about getting you to 100%. So really make sure when you're looking for a clinician, you ask them questions that's going to get you the right answers. Okay, guys? So David, how can people connect with you? For those guys that are on who want to know more about golf in terms of treatment, or for clinicians that are more interested in, like, how do I connect with this guy? How can people reach out and connect with you?
Yep, great. Thank you for asking, Dee. I appreciate that. The easiest way, honestly, is just look me up on Facebook, just right there as my name is, just David Bayliff, and you can my personal page is public. Anybody can go on there and make comments and whatnot, or you can direct message me through Messenger. Either way, but I'm always happy to answer questions.
Awesome. And if you guys have any questions that are in the comments, I'm going to take a quick look. I see Santi. Hey, Santi, what's going on? I see Ayana's on. We have a new person on today. Hi. Any questions for us about golfer's elbow? I'll give you a little bit so that you can type anything, any questions you may have for David or myself about golfer's elbow. This was a great one, David. Thank you so much already for sharing your time and your knowledge with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is fun. So guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Connect with David Bayliff. It's going to be in the comments that you can take a look at him. He's on Facebook, an amazing clinician, amazing leader, doing really important things for PT clinicians out there. So if you are in the physical therapy world and looking for something different out of your career, just check this guy out. Tomorrow, guys, in Q&A with Dr. D, I'm going to be going over top exercises for the elbow. It's going to involve, of course, everything above and below. As we said, the elbow is the middle child. So I'm going to be going over some of my top exercises to share with you guys. And then next week, we move on to the rest. All right. So thank you again so much, David. This was awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. Give us some hearts, give us some love. Share this with someone who needs to hear about this. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Okay? Bye, guys.